Good afternoon and welcome to Real Talk with Sean, everybody. This afternoon, I had the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Jovaan. We're going to be discussing him being a recovering drug addict. Thank you so much for joining me, Jovaan. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to
Awesome.
be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Before I even go into my first question, I want to let you know personally that I am very proud of you.
Thank you.
I also think you're a strong Black man because we know that a lot of people don't make it to be able to tell their story when it comes to drugs. I mean, a lot of people succumb to it. So
I appreciate that.
you got it,
Definitely.
you got it. How old were you when you even started doing drugs?
Well, I was about 22 when I started, when I started sniffing a lot of cocaine and drinking a lot. I
Okay.
was about 2 years old. I was about 22 years old, and that was after my first prison bed, which was 4 years. But I started drinking at a real young age, drinking a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was like the beginning of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would have started a lot earlier had I not gone to prison too. So I think that played a role in like kind of preserving me a little bit.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing. So that kind of, even though it's not a good thing to go to prison, it stopped you at that particular age from going
Yeah.
further with
Hmm.
alcoholism and the drugs. Although we know that you can get them in jail as well. So
Yeah, exactly. It was a lot going around, but I just chose a different route. I chose not to partake in it while I was in prison.
that's what's up. So you just wanted to do your time and get back home.
Absolutely.
If you were underage, I'm pretty sure your upbringing had something to do with it. Like, did that contribute to any of your going down that path at all?
Well, my upbringing was fairly good, to be honest. I was raised by a single mom. My mom was single. She raised me. She did a great job. I mean, times was tough, but it was the 90s. I mean, times was tough for everybody. So I really can't say that my childhood played a role. I think at a young age I was subject to a lot. I think that a lot of kids my age weren't seeing, but I credit that to just the times and the environment that I was raised in. You know what I mean?
Completely.
Um, and so I really wasn't raised around a lot of drug addicts or alcoholics. Um, it's a lot of different aspects to my childhood. Like on the one hand, my mom raised me,
Mhm.
and we lived in the projects, so it was like everything that comes with the projects. And then
Yeah.
like on the weekends and vacations, I would go stay with my grandmother, who like Christian lady, you know what I'm saying, instilled morals and manners into me, you know what I mean? So and brought me to church with her. And so I had that on the one hand, and I still go to see my grandmother on holidays and vacations. So,
You gotta see your grandmother. I'm telling you.
yeah, yeah. And so she kept my room. I still got my room there, everything.
Oh,
So
that's what's up.
yeah, I go there often. And then there was also a different aspect where there was a friend of the family that worked with my mom and has been in our like he became family, and he would take me on trips with his family to like Maine and what I mean, all sorts of other things that I did with him. So as far as like my childhood goes, it was stable and I was active. You know what I mean?
That's what's up because I mean I think that's important too to let people know that not everybody that ventures down that path of drugs had a bad per se upbringing rather.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you said, your environment can play a part because when you step out of your house, I mean, there's nothing your parents can do. We can't watch our kids 24/7. We just
Yeah.
have to hope that they make the best decisions and use the morals that we instill in them when they do leave out. So I think that that's a very important point to make as far as letting the world know, hey, my mother did the best she can.
Yeah.
There were no drugs around me. My grandmother was involved in my life. And you even had a male figure in
I'm
your
out.
life. So I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's a big deal. Now I heard you mention that cocaine, I'm assuming you stayed on the path of cocaine. Were there any other drugs or cocaine was your drug of choice?
Cocaine was my drug of choice. A little later on, when I was 28, after my second prison sentence, I started um doing heroin as
Okay.
well. So, I mean, I think prison played a bigger role in my addiction and also, you know, it's a disease too, you know. So I mean, but I think prison played like a bigger role than anything in my childhood as far as me using drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So like after my second prison sentence, it's just making that transition back into society was always rough for me.
Right.
And like I know like some people watching this probably like, well, he said he doesn't use drugs when he goes to jail, but that's more to my point. In jail, I had that structure. You know what I'm saying? That institutional structure
Okay.
that kind of threw me for a loop every time I was released and led me to look for, you know, ways to numb these type of feelings and all these things that I was feeling without that structure to kind of keep my foundation stable, you know.
Exactly. So, like you said, because I was going to ask you that. Why do you feel like prison had a big part in you, even going back down that path when you got out? Because when you both times you did, you were in prison, you stayed clean,
Absolutely.
so you would get back
I was
out
I was in prison 3 times.
three times, okay? And so all three times you were clean, and once you got out, because you lost that structure, you um, ventured down that path again
Yeah,
and again.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, and
Again and again and again.
so when you got out, what do you feel like was the breaking point? Even though I know you said the structure was there in prison, so you didn't go down that path, but what do you feel was the ultimate reason? Okay, I know it, I know you said the structure, but there had to be something else that made you say, okay, you know what? Things are just too hard. Let me do this.
Yeah. Well, so in prison, you have that structure, eat, sleep, everything's available to you. When you get out and you released and they really don't give you like any type of support besides like going to see a PO or something like that, they don't really prepare you for life outside of prison. Especially like me, I went into prison at a very young age. You know what I'm saying? I was 17 when I caught my case. I was 18 when I got sentenced, and I wasn't released until I was 22 the first time. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So I get out, and now I'm at 22 years old, trying to be a man with really
Okay.
no life skills, no and inability to handle pressure because prison is stressful, but it's stressful to a different type of degree than life is stressful.
Get it.
In prison, you don't have any responsibility at all. You don't have any pressure at all. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. So when
So,
no, go
yeah, so I get out and I'm feeling like all these pressure. I have to, you know, bills to pay. I have a job that I have to get to. And things are going on. Things are going on. So I'm like trying to navigate through society and do it on my own just because that's the type of person I am. Not to say I didn't have the support, but it's just how I'm set up to do it on my own. And I was failing at it. So drugs just seemed like a liable choice. I went to from selling drugs to using drugs to like trying to manage doing both, and that just ended bad for me.
right, right. So I heard you say you like to do it on your own, and it was a struggle, and I can understand that. I commend you for that because, excuse me, you wanted, you were a man and you wanted to do things that a man does, which consists of taking care of himself.
Hmm.
So because life can be hard, you felt like you were failing at it, I guess, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I felt like I was failing at it, and then I reached out to like resources that I knew from growing up that may not have been the best. You know what I'm saying? So I
Oh,
took a route to start making money that probably wasn't the most responsible choice, but at the time it seemed like my only choice because it seemed like now you see a lot of programs structured to giving felons a second chance. But like when I got released in 2008, that wasn't the case. We weren't getting jobs. If you fresh out of jail, people were not hiring you. And that was one of the things that I had to deal with. So I resorted back to you know what I knew, you know.
exactly.
Not to say that I got out of jail with those intentions, but those are the intentions that I ultimately fell on, you know.
Yeah, that happens a lot because I mean, a lot of guys and women, you get out of jail and your intentions are to do the right thing. But when struggle comes in and things don't go the way we plan, it's an easy route to either go back to, well, it's definitely easy to go back to what we know. and if you've already been exposed to that, it's like, shit, I need money. At the end of the day, that's what makes the world go round. And a
Things
lot
got
of
to
people,
get done.
and a lot of people have that by any means necessary. I'm going to get mine.
Yeah.
you know,
And especially with me, like with the mom that I had, like my mom, first of all, is like, we got a serious mother-son bond, but even further than that, like, that's my partner in crime for real. You know what I'm saying? And I seen her growing up really get things done, make something out of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Get the job done. And so I have that in me. It's just in me. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what the circumstances is, if it has to get done, it's gonna get done. You know what I mean? So that was kind of my attitude. And I still have that attitude now, but in a more positive space.
I
You know what I'm
love
saying?
I love it. And that's the key right there, because
Mm-hmm.
that didn't change, because that's already instilled in you. But
Mm-hmm.
you're using it in a different way. If I fail or if I fall, I just get back up. I just don't turn back.
Yeah, don't
You're
turn
looking
back.
forward and you're moving this way. And I completely understand and get what you're saying. Not only that, I can understand why. I've never been in your shoes or in that situation, but I can definitely understand how one would do that.
Yeah.
And then it catches up with you. So when do you believe that you got to a point where, I am completely addicted now? Like, it's not something I'm doing for fun anymore. I actually need it.
Yeah, that was about, I want to say when I was like 29. I was about 29 years old. It was shortly after my second prison sentence, which was 3 years. And the heroin came into play, and I was still doing cocaine, still drinking a lot, still trying to keep my hand and like selling drugs and doing it like that. And then two, because I used to sell drugs and I had like a lot of connections, it was at that time easy for me to maintain sobriety because so many people knew me from that time, and still at that time had a lot of respect for me. At that time, this was before like the crash and everything else, so nobody was really happy to see me like that, but it was kind of like he'll get back from that. And I was able to make a call and get whatever I wanted. So it didn't start getting difficult. But what ended up happening is people started taking advantage of my situation and making tons of money off of work that I put in certain areas. And so it was like I'm hanging out with these guys. This guy's buying he's putting $8,000 on a car, and then the week after putting $6,000 on a different car, and I'm getting a couple bags of heroin. You know what I'm saying? So I went out bad. I went out real bad, and that's probably something that I'll never forgive myself for, I think. But like looking back, if I walked away from that in shame because of like I did go out bad, and it helps with the perspective that I have now, like that lifestyle just not being appealing to me. You know what I mean? The doing drugs, the selling drugs, nothing about it really seems appealing to me. And not only because of like me walking away from it with my head down, but it helped me to open my eyes to the fact that it only ends in two ways. Whether you're doing it, selling it, or participating in it any kind of way, you're either going to die or end up in jail for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And nothing about that seems cool to me anymore. Nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not people like when you in it, you think it's attractive. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because you got the money, you got the girls that, you know what I'm saying? You think that it's attractive. But after being away from it from a time, you look at it and nothing about that really seems appealing. Like I'm right now in the best shape of my life. You know what I mean? I got a career job that I love going to. I enjoy it. And I'm not rich, but coming from where I came from, it feel like I'm rich. You know
Rich
what
in
I mean?
spirit. The thing is the
Yeah.
what you just said. Like, rich financially means nothing at the end of the day. I mean, again, we know money makes the world go around, everybody. We know. But I'd rather be rich in my spirit than rich financially, but still lost up here.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, at the end of the day, because I've been around a lot of people in the game, back in the 80s, so and 90s. So
Mm-hmm.
there is the end, the outcome is death or jail. There is no
Mm-hmm.
other outcome. And it does look appealing when you don't have and you're seeing, especially people getting it.
Yeah.
And you can easily get in the game because these are your friends that can just put you on. So I completely understand that, and how that can look appealing to the eyes. and then you get caught up because you weren't raised like that. Like you said, you had a grandmother that took you to church.
Yeah, and that also plays a role because it's like I never fit in there. I was kind of like just adapting to that situation, but like, you know what I'm saying? My reputation didn't match my character, and now it does. The person that I am now is who I was supposed to be. I had to unlearn all of that stuff, and then step back into the man that I was supposed, like I was on this path to become in the first place if I didn't venture off and go do all this stuff over here, you know?
Yep. You are
So
a true example of coming back to what you were raised with, because
yeah,
there are a lot of people out there on the streets that that's not what they come from, and they know deep down in your core, this is not who I
that's
am.
not,
Like,
yeah.
I'm nothing like these people, and that's not to put them down. Everybody's circumstances are different, but for
Mm-hmm.
some, it's like I really don't belong out here. But the money is good. It's fun, like you said, the girls, the women, the jewels,
Mm-hmm.
it's fun, but you came back to your foundation. And your
Yeah.
foundation that was instilled in you was a man of morals and character,
Yeah.
positive character. So again, I can't say enough how proud I am of you and how much I commend you for coming back to that. And then I definitely understand what you said earlier about forgiving yourself, and walking away, not forgiving yourself rather, and walking away with your head held down. I kind of battle with that a little bit, but I get what you're saying. As
Yeah.
far as not being able to forgive yourself for allowing, when you can step out of yourself and look at that old person, it's like, yo,
Yeah.
like I
Like that was, yeah.
forgive you for that. Like, but you walked away with your head down, which is fine to me because that's not something to look up on. So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you walked away with your head down is a good thing to me because now you walk with your head held high. I watch you.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I'm very particular about who I invite on. If everybody has a story, but if it does not catch, it's my page. If it doesn't catch my
Yeah.
heart, then I just kind of just watch the person. But when I saw you, I'm like, this is a black man that's doing his thing, and
Mm-hmm.
he is a positive role model to young black guys out here that may be going through not the same things, but just venturing down that path. And so I definitely was going to make sure I got you.
And you did, and it's an honor. It's an honor to be here. It's an
Damn
honor to
right.
be here.
Damn right. I appreciate it. So, okay. When did you decide this is it? Like I gotta get off of this. Like what was the breaking point that made you get clean?
So I was released from my third prison sentence after, and altogether it was 11 and a half years. When I was released from the third one, it felt like I did 11 and a half years straight. Like I had like I had never been out before. You understand what I'm saying? It was like everything just hit me at once because I was off paper for the first time. I did the whole 12-year sentence and I was off paper. I didn't have to check with my PO anymore. It was just a different world to me. You know
Right.
what I mean? I was 33 years old, and long story short, I wasn't making a good transition back into society. And it's so crazy because I could go back to prison and like that, I'm back in the swing of things. But coming back outside of prison is hard for me to get back into, you know what I mean, into real life mode. And so I took a deep fall. Just got, as soon as I was released from the halfway house, almost immediately downhill. Within 3 months, I was homeless, nowhere to go, broke.
Sober?
Huh?
Sober though? So you're doing this.
No, no, no. Like
Okay.
as soon as I got released from the halfway house, I did after the 4.5 year sentence. I got back on drugs and just went downhill. Like within 3 months, probably 4 months, because it was like April. Um, I was at odds with my family. I disappeared. Nobody knew where I was. I was sleeping outside most of the time. And it was just a bad situation. I was kind of able to bounce back from that for a time. And I started staying with my grandma, got sober. Um, and I thought that I was doing great, but in all actuality, I was going to the bar after work every single night. You know what I mean? And I had a couple slips, and before I knew it, I was right back down. You know what I mean? Losing everything. My grandma crying, like, "What do you like? Get it together." You know what I'm saying? So it was at that moment where I knew that I didn't have a value for life. Like, I woke up in the hospital at one point and was kind of just like, why did they could have just left me where I was. You know what I'm saying? Like I was more upset, and I'm got an attitude with the nurses, don't touch me. I'm kind of upset that they found me, you know. I didn't like try to commit suicide, but I had no value for life.
I
You
get
understand what I'm saying? And so I had kind of like just had a I was tired of my mom cussing me out. I was tired of not being the man that I knew that I could be. I was tired of not being somebody my son could look up to. And I was just tired of not really looking up to living up to my full potential. So I had a conversation with myself, which went something like, listen, if you don't want to live, keep going the way that you're going, because you're going to get there. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, you're going to get there. So if you don't want to live, then let's just keep going in this direction, because it won't be long. Trust me. If you do want to turn this thing around and live a life that you proud of, that your son could be proud of, that your grandmother, your mom, your family could be proud of, you could still get that life that you know you were meant to live. Like it's still attainable. Like this doesn't stop that. You can still get there if you start putting in the work now. So you have to make a choice. Do you want to do this stuff? All this stuff that you was planning while you were in prison, and I'm gonna do this and this and this, and I'm gonna write this out and architect experiment this and that and that. We can still do all that stuff if you start from right now. Or you could give up and keep going in that direction. I guarantee you'll be dead by the end of the year. So after having that conversation with myself, I was like, you know what? Let's give this thing a try. Let's give it one more try. I called up my aunt that lived in another state. Can I come in? I had no plan. She didn't really know the full extent of what was about to happen.
right.
I've tried detoxes and programs in the past. They don't work for me. So I'm like, I'm serious about this now. I'm gonna do this myself. So I show up on my aunt's doorstep, damn near dead. She doesn't know what's going on. I'm lying to her. I must have caught COVID on the bus. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So eventually, you know what I mean? I don't want her thinking that I'm a risk for her to catch anything. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, I don't have anything contagious. You're safe. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna just keep it real with you. I'm dope sick. And chances are I won't be able to get out of bed for the next 2 weeks. Her reaction to that, I wasn't expecting. She was like, get it back in there. Here's a bucket if you got to puke. Talk to me when you can, and we'll figure this out. And then we've been figuring it out from there. Since I made the decision to get clean and live life, I've been getting tons of support from family and close friends. I'm on the right track now, and I'm very confident about the direction that this is going. And I don't do maintenance, not to put down anybody that your recovery is your recovery. I made that choice not to let drug companies pimp me. I don't want them making billions. I don't want to play a part in them making billions of dollars off people suffering. Yep. So I don't do maintenance. I don't really agree with a lot of the curriculum and programs, particularly them painting drug dealers to be the bad guy. So I don't go to NA or AA. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing this pretty much on my own.
I love it. There's several pieces of that I love. First, I want to give your family, all of y'all, your mother, your grandmother, your aunt, and the rest of you all that he just said supports him. Those three I mentioned because you all play a pivotal point.
They're the real MVPs, to be honest.
Yeah, man, they are. And if y'all ever see this, you have my respect, ladies. I think that was a big message that you said about either you're going to do this, talking to yourself, letting you know, telling yourself that all these plans that you have, that you were talking about when you're locked up, because everybody does it when they're in jail. They're going to do this, they're going to do that, and then you get out and go back down that wrong path. And you've already shown that side of yourself that you can do that. You've gotten out, been clean, and then went right back to where you were comfortable. That fact that you made a decision to say, you know what, either you're going to do this or not. It's just that simple at the end of the day, even though I'm not downplaying the sickness part, because I know it's not easy. You can say
that was how.
Yeah. Imagine. But the fact that you did and you told yourself you still have life to live, like you're not gone, and even when you didn't have no regard for life, like you said, you didn't want to commit suicide, but the drugs in your mind, they overpowered everything. you made a decision to say, you know what, enough is enough. You're going to do all the things that you were talking about. We're going to put the work in, because that's the key, is to put the work in. I mean, nobody can do nothing without putting the work in. So I love that. And I hope that anybody else that's struggling, that wants to be clean and hear you, take that message. Like it's the, at the end of the day, that's basically it. Either
Mhm.
you do it or you're not. You know, and
Absolutely.
it's gonna be hard, but you got to stick with it. So I commend you for that. And now what do you feel? I heard you, you know, why do you feel like this time is really different? Because I mean, you know, you've backpedaled 3 times. So
Yeah.
why do you feel like this time I got this?
Well, it's a different feel. That's a good question, and it's tough to answer because I've said so many times. So I don't want to say anymore. You know what I'm saying? Only time
Good.
could tell. I've said that in the past, like this is the last time. Even not only relapsing, but also with prison. Like I'm never going back to prison. And then, you know what I mean? I've ended up back there. So I don't want to say it's a every day, every single day I have to battle this. You know what I mean? So there's no breaks in between it, you know. So I feel like it's different. I don't want to say that it is because time will tell. But I feel like I got a real grip on it. I think that my biggest problems with my like leading to addiction have been just me trying to transition into society. And now that I'm starting to learn these life skills and develop that, and clearing a lot of mental space, that's the big difference here between then and now is me feeling normal. You know what I'm saying? Me feeling like an American citizen. And ever since and also I think that on top of all that, the biggest thing is my level of self-love that I have for the level of love that I have for myself right now is at an
Oh,
all-time high. I've never had this much love for myself. I've never valued life this much. And that's the big difference. Like I would say that in the past, like, okay, I'm done this time, but still be carrying around all this mental baggage.
yes.
You know what I mean? So I wasn't curing the actual disease, which in my case, there is no cure for it, but I wasn't even combating it. I was just, what I'm saying,
Yes.
I wasn't doing the work to clear the mental baggage and practice self-love and put a value on life. Now, when I was doing drugs, I had no value for life.
Nope.
I had, what I'm saying, I didn't care whether I live or die. Ever
Mhm.
since I decided that I could actually value life again, and I'm starting to now, I'm at a good place with it now. Now I got 324 days clean today since I
I'm
made that.
glad that. That's what's up. That's powerful. That's
Mm-hmm.
powerful. And you're hitting so many key elements that I believe that this time you got this.
Yeah,
I know you got this because self-love is the key to anything. You know,
absolutely.
is knowing yourself. When you look in that mirror, you really can love what you see. You know,
Yeah.
it's from the core outside. And also the fact that I like what you said, clearing mental space in your head. That's
Mm-hmm.
so big. So it's like, even though you didn't go to any rehab or you choose not to, do the medicine that they give, which by the
Mm-hmm.
way, I can definitely understand and agree with you on that. And like you also said, it's not for everybody. My
It's not for
story is not your
everybody.
story.
Yeah,
So he's not saying that's the way that everybody should do it. He's speaking
absolutely not.
about himself.
Yeah.
So I think, and I know, as I said, I think again, but I know you got this because the things that you're saying, those are the keys.
Mm-hmm.
Those are in 324 days, that's big.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so every day, like you said, every day is a struggle for you. You just get
Yeah.
up and you put the best foot forward to make this day a clean day.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
and that's awesome. So, and I heard you mention you got a son. How old is your
Yeah.
son?
My son here 11. He'll be 12 in June.
I
Yeah.
know that he
He
probably
getting real big too. He real big and he want to play football and like he don't. I live in Washington D.C. He don't live here, but last time I went back on Christmas, I had to like rough him up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like he getting to that age where like he think he gonna be able to whoop me at some point. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So I got like every milestone he reach, I got to make sure like all right, so 10. Maybe the next one at 16, 18, then 21. At each of those levels, I'm gonna have to whoop him so that he knows his daddy still, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna
you
have to rough him up just a little bit.
you just make sure that you're staying sober because he needs you too. I mean, we
Yeah,
already know how it is for us out here, and
yeah,
y'all in particular. So,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, that young man needs his father to be present
mm-hmm,
physically and mentally in
yeah.
a positive
And
way.
yeah, I have been like real hard on myself because for a lot of his life, I was in prison or in active addiction. Either way, I wasn't there.
Yeah,
And my father was in jail on a murder rap. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying, for most of my life, and we had like no relationship at all. Like if I walked by him on the street, I probably wouldn't even recognize him. You know what I'm saying?
That
And
chain is broken with you. We're
yeah,
breaking that curse. That's not
yeah,
happening on your end. Your offspring gonna be good.
mm-hmm.
So when did you decide to share your life and story with the world? What made you decide to reach back? Because that's what it is to me. You're reaching back and letting others know you too can get clean.
And that's exactly what it is. You know what's so crazy about it? And I like my brother. He I got my best friend. I call him my brother. It feels like we came from the same
Yeah.
parents. We grew up
Blood
together.
don't make family.
Nah, yeah, he been my best friend since I was 13 years old, and you know, he was telling me he a big fan like that. Like he don't even do social media or nothing. He
Right.
created these accounts just so that he could watch me
That's
do
what's
what I
up.
do.
That's
So
support.
yeah, and he was telling me like you look so genuine and so comfortable when you're doing this, and he knows me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
I'm very shy. I'm very shy. I do not like the spotlight on me at all. I'm being
Right.
completely honest. So it's weird to me how comfortable I do feel on camera and put myself out there. This was something years ago I would have never done. Like I'm just so like I didn't even like getting my picture taken. Even when Facebook first came out, I was not around for it. So I feel like the message is stronger than my insecurities.
Ooh,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? It's like I feel like it's important work to be done, and that outweighs me. Like it's I'm an instrument of the universe. I feel like you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely right.
Because if it was up to me, I wouldn't share my story at all. I would be so comfortable just not getting attention on me and just doing what I got to do. But it's an important work to be done. And I also like my plan is to like start building a platform so that I could speak on the like I didn't we don't have time to touch on it, but I was dragged through the justice system, dragged and treated very unfairly. So that's another thing that I want to put light on, and I'm building up a platform so that if I ever get a voice, maybe I could help make some real change there happen. Because not to get too deep into it, but I was doing time in my 30s for a crime I committed when I was 17 years old, and that's the unfairness of that alone. I think, you know what I'm saying. Not to mention the way that the case was brought out, but just the fact that I was able to do prison time in my 30s for a crime that was committed when I was 17 years old. Things have to change. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. So I mean, I do believe that
Yeah.
because I've heard that several times. So
Mm-hmm.
there is a platform for that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and I do agree with what you said. At this point, it's a calling. It's bigger
Mm-hmm.
than you, and you're being heard. You're being heard. People are following you and watching. So, and people need that, especially not just Black men, but I have to look. I'm not prejudiced at all, but
I
I'm all
understand.
about minds first.
Yeah, as you should,
So
as you should, because somebody got to be.
somebody got to do it. We got to look
Yeah.
out for each other first. And there are enough of
Mm-hmm.
us hating on each other. And I
Yeah.
refuse to be that person. So, I'm here to uplift minds, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back for the rest when it's time.
Absolutely.
But my people, we need to know that we matter.
Yeah.
And every all of us matter. We're here, and why not make the best of it?
That I say all the time, all lives matter, but we
Yes,
put an emphasis on Black lives because those are the ones at most risk right
yes.
now.
It's that's what's real. And I'm not here to put blindfolds on. It's the truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got one last question before I let you go.
Okay.
You promised me to always spread peace and love in this world.
Oh, that's an easy promise to make. That's one I definitely know that I could keep, man. Yeah, absolutely. Even when I was at my lowest, I tried my best to spread positive vibes. But right now, that's what I'm mainly about, you know? Like if you go through my content, you might think every day is a great day, but that's no. I have some real hard days that I, you know, reach out to my support system and figure that out, And with my page, I just promote, you know, positivity, man. I'll never get up there with a sob story because I don't want other people using that as a cop out. You know what I mean? Like, we got to be strong. We got to spread love. We got to spread positivity. We can do it.
That's right.
We can
You're
do it.
right. And I like what you just said, ending on that note. Every day is not a good day. He's being real. I mean, nobody's getting online acting like life is perfect.
No, life is not perfect. That goes without saying. Listen,
Right.
everybody has bad days. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Some people have more than most. Nobody needs to hear about mine. We all have them. People need love. People need support. People need positive vibes to get them through a bad day. Nobody needs a bad day to get them through a bad day. So I keep mine, you know what I'm saying, with my support system, and then I try to get on camera and spread positivity always.
Well, you got another supporter right here. I'm in your corner 100%.
You as well.